We finally have our answer on the Cowboys' 53-man roster cutdowns, as with the first preseason game in the books and another on the way, we have a new roster and depth chart projection for the Dallas Cowboys. We go through it all today right here on Cowboys Digest. We are happy you're here. I'm Jace Andrews, and we're really excited to start the season here on Cowboys Digest. And with that being mentioned, we've noticed that over 78% of you who watch these videos are not yet subscribed. What are you waiting for? It's 100% free. And of course, if you're looking for daily Cowboys coverage, we have got you covered right here. Okay, so Blogging with the Boys came out with their 53-man roster / practice squad projection after the first preseason game. This came out yesterday. Obviously, the Cowboys have their next preseason game tomorrow against the Baltimore Ravens. That kickoff scheduled for 6 p.m. Central Time. So excited to watch that game, excited to see Joe Milton, who was announced as the starter, but want to look at the roster projection that was given to us by Blogging with the Boys and go through it, kind of give you what our expectations are, along with my takes on all of it. So start with kind of a heads up here, 53-man roster projection. A little bit of notes. Teams are allowed 16 practice squad members, 17 though, with a player on the international pathway program, i.e. a player from, somewhere else than America, an international player, with up to 6 of them being a, quote, veteran player, with more being than 2 seasons acquired in the NFL. So just want to put that out there as a couple notes before we get going, kind of let you know the practice squad members that we're mentioning and how many they're going to be. Plus, there is an international pathway squad player for the Dallas Cowboys in this projection. We'll get to that in just a second. So let's start here with the quarterback room. No surprise in this one. Dak Prescott is QB1, Joe Milton is QB2, and then they are going to practice squad. Will Grier is the projection here, and he gets that veteran signature on his side. So again, you got to have up to 6 of those veterans, so he takes over 1 of those spots. Not really a surprise in this aspect in any light. I know that Dak Prescott is going to be the starter. I know that Joe Milton is going to the backup. The only question that was really had it all was if Will Grier was going to be good enough to be put on the roster and carry 3 quarterbacks, or this is kind of what I expect him, put him on the practice squad. Will Grier is, he's a solid third-string guy. That's kind of what his career has been, and I don't see any other NFL team scooping him up off the practice squad. So in that manner, I'm going to say probably good there to have him on that spot. I do, however, find it interesting, though, that, with the injuries of Dak Prescott, Joe Milton could come in at any time, and it is very obvious they're going to let Joe play a lot in this preseason, so I'm excited to watch him. No surprises there, so let's move on to the running back side, where we do have our quote-unquote first surprise in my mind. Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue are your RB1 and 2, and then RB3 and 4 is Hunter Lipke and Phil Maffa. Now, the question I have here is their practice squad is Miles Sanders, and he gets that veteran signature as well, so that's 2 of the 6, but I did not expect Miles Sanders to be on the practice squad, and honestly, I think if Miles Sanders doesn't make the team, I don't think he is practice squad guy, because I see him getting picked up. Like, if anything, I think they would practice squad Hunter Lipke and keep Miles Sanders on the active roster. One, to have that active veteran, but also you can, in some ways, a little bit kind of save yourself from somebody picking up Miles Sanders, which it's very interesting. I mean, in the first game of the preseason against the Rams, Phil Maffa was the lead back, and there was really no question about it. And obviously with preseason in game 1, you can't really, base everything off that. But Miles Sanders did a lot of work in the gym, looked a lot bigger this season, and I'm a little bit surprised to see him in this projection not making the roster. Hunter Lipke, there's a lot of things I like about him. I'm not trying to, downplay that, but I think in this situation, I'm putting Hunter Lipke on the practice squad and keeping Miles Sanders on the active roster. So that is the running back room there. We can transition to the wide receiver room. Again, a little bit of a mixture of guys in this one, but CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Kevontae Turpin, and Jalen Tolbert were, in my opinion, obvious choices for this. I mean, those are the four guys that were going to make the roster in no matter what. And now past that is the question. Now, they have 3 practice squad wide receivers, so I kind of start with that. Jonathan Mingo is the one that makes the roster, and then Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flournoy, and Trayshawn Holden are the 3 practice squad members. Now, funny enough, Brooks, Flournoy, and Holden were actually the top 3 receivers in preseason week 1. Again, week one is such a thing that you cannot base anything off of for a multitude of different reasons, but also we heard Coach Schottenheimer say that, listen, week one is not going to be our full go. It's not going to be, it's more of a test subject type game. That's really what was put out there. And, Joe Milton did not start off the game great, so that obviously takes a toll on the wide receivers, but I am honestly a little surprised that Brooks didn't make the roster over Mingo. I think if I'm projecting the roster, I'm probably putting Brooks above Mingo in my mind, just with what I've seen from him in training camp, along with the first preseason game. I like the way he's able to change directions a little bit more quicker. And Mingo, to me, I don't know, nothing has impressed me. And getting traded over, all this stuff, people have these high expectations for him, and I don't know if he's ever going to be able to meet them. So that's just the way I see it. But I think in the wide receiver room, the top four are very clear, cut, and dry. Past that, I think a case can be made for a lot of those guys, especially a couple of those guys on the practice squad. Tight end, we're going to go to the graphic here just because I think it's a little bit more interesting of a position given how deep it is. But tight end, we have three of them: Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, and Brevin Spann-Ford. And two guys on the practice squad in the tight end room: Rivaldo Fairweather, who actually had a really good game against the Rams, and then Princeton Fant is going to be practice squatted as well. The only change I'd make to this, I'd probably not carry Princeton Fant in any projection in this matter. If you're going to have 5 tight ends, I don't think it makes sense to carry a Princeton Fant who he's a good blocking tight end. He can go out and make a grab when you need him to, but to me, he's just a Dollar General version of Brevin Spann-Ford, if that makes sense. And so I guess the argument around that is, well, what if somebody gets injured? You can pop him in there. And yes, that is true. Injuries always happen, but I think the practice squad spot would be better served at another position rather than having 5 tight ends. That doesn't exactly scream great news to me. So that's just the way I see it. Obviously, again, I want your thoughts in the comment section. So as we're about halfway through this video, go down there and let me know any, comments, concerns, or, maybe something you don't agree with, or maybe my take, maybe the Blogging with the Boys take. Either way, just let me know down in the comments section. Let's go to the offensive line here. Tyler Smith, Terrence Steele, Cooper Beebe, Tyler Booker, Tyler Guyton, Brock Hoffman, Nate Thomas, TJ Bass, Akeem Adeji, and Sadiq Charles is your 10 offensive linemen. And then they're going to practice squad 2 rookies, and Asim Richard and Ajani Cornelius. I like this for a couple of different reasons. If Tyler Guyton is ready to go week 1, then I believe Richards or Cornelius is going to be the ones that will be on the practice squad. If he is not ready, I could easily see Richards or Cornelius going from practice squad to maybe, it's hard to say starter, but I almost see them taking reps there, at least in maybe a 1A, 1B type role. Like, I don't think either of them is going to be like the starter, but a 1A, 1B type role would be my kind of thought. So that's an interesting part of this with Guyton's health. All reports indicate he should be ready. So let's kind of put that out there. The offensive line of Smith, Steele, Beebe, Booker, and Guyton is one that I really, really trust and like a lot, which the Cowboys have had good offensive lines for a long time. And this is just another rendition, obviously. You lose Martin, that's not fun, but backups are a little bit interesting. Hoffman, Nate Thomas, and TJ Bass are guys that I kind of expected. But Adeji and Charles, he's always been the practice squad guy to me. I don't see him being a roster guy with his hand placement doesn't make sense to me. Usually, I'm not going to go too in depth, but either way, his hand placement and the way he blocks guys on the line, it's not exactly in the right positionment that I would like to have. But I have my own personal ways of doing some things, and he has this positional way that I just don't like. So I'm not going to go too in-depth than that. That's more of a personal preference than anything else. To the defensive side of the ball, defensive ends, 6 of them is what we're going to carry, at least on the projection. Micah Parsons, Dante Fowler, Marshawn Nealon, Donovan Ezraku, Sam Williams, and Peyton Turner makes the roster. Now, I believe that if you look at this defensive end room, this is one that can be put up against any other defensive end room in the entire NFL, especially if Micah is playing. I'm really excited for Dante Fowler. Had a great year last year with the Commanders, and I'm really excited to see him go out and do a lot of good things. Sam Williams, I know I got a lot of slack in the comments. I didn't give him the credit that was due, and seeing him in training camp, I deserved all that slack because he is the guy who I actually really trust and like to see out there. Ezeraku played in the preseason game, had one QB hit, but otherwise was played seldomly, but excited to see him in a full swing mode in the regular season. Then Peyton Turner, he was kind of a question mark as to whether or not he would make the roster. In this projection, he does. And then James Houston, a guy who was signed not literally half a month ago maybe, and he ends up making the roster in a practice squad formation this time with Tyrus Wheat as well making in that practice squad side. I love this defensive interim. I have no complaints about it. James Houston making the roster is a fun part to me as well. Inside the offensive line, Osa, Solomon Thomas, Mozzie Smith, and Jay Toia. Toia being a 7th-round pick or 6th-round pick, whatever it was, out of UCLA, I actually have some high hopes from him. I've talked about him in previous videos. I think he has a lot of good intangibles that with the coaching that the Cowboys have can really make him a very good defensive interior lineman. I don't know, what the production and slash how much he's going to play this year, but I like the growth of him and being on the roster makes me excited because it allows for more and more growth being on the actual roster rather than just the practice squad. Perion Winfrey, guy signed out of the UFL, he actually makes the practice squad in this projection, kind of where I would put him, and then Denzel Daxton, he's on the practice squad in an international pathway program. He kind of gets the benefit of the doubt that he is basically a free practice squad member. I mean, you don't get docked a player for him because he's an international guy. So, good for him. I don't think he ever comes on the roster at all. It's most of these international pathway player programs are a little bit of a successes, or a little bit of not a lot of successes, I should say. But there's some every now and then. So that's kind of what I have seen with that. And then going to deeper in the linebacker room here, Luefu makes the roster as well. Kenneth Murray Jr., Jack Sanborn, Shamar James, Damone Clark. Not really a surprise here. Like the play we've seen from Kenneth Murray and Jack Sanborn. Maurice Luefu is also a good guy to have, but the one that I look at is down in the practice squad. Justin Barron made a lot of headlines in training camp, in OTAs and all that stuff. Undrafted free agent, and Barron out of Syracuse looks like he's going to be able to make the roster, at least in a practice squad format. And then Darius Harris also makes in a veteran signature on that practice squad. Barron, though, I like a lot. I think he has the ability of playing linebacker and safety like he did in college, so kind of has the ability to play a couple positions, which in a practice squad role, you like having more positions. Speaking of cornerbacks, that is our next position here, so kind of going through these a little quick because not too many surprises on this. I want to talk about somebody on the cornerback room, though. Deron Bland, Kyer Elam, Kalen Carson, Andrew Booth, Keeman Hall, and Israel Mukawu, and then Zion Childress makes the roster as well. Childress had one of the better games of the preseason against the Rams, so really excited to see him in a practice squad role. I think he has a lot of growth, and undrafted free agent out of Kentucky, so he is one of 3 actually undrafted free agents that makes the roster. Already shown you one of them in Justin Barron, and there's one more that actually makes the roster as we go to the safeties room here. I believe it's right there. Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Marquise Bell, Juwan Thomas, and then Jawanya Thomas, and then Elijah Clark. Elijah Clark, also a Syracuse undrafted free agent. He makes the roster as well, and really thought he would. He's a very athletic guy, and excited to see what he has. Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson are your main guys in this safety room. I do like the play of Bell and Thomas. I think there's a couple of things they could work on, but being a depth role, that's kind of what they're going to be able to do. And then lastly, special teams, not really surprised here. Aubrey, Anger, Sieg, and Goodwin. And as the Blogging with the Boy says, this is the easiest group to predict. As of all, these guys are excellent. Gone are the days to rationalize CJ Goodwin off the roster. CJ Goodwin is a very good player. He needs to be on the roster, especially in a special teams role. So that is your 53-man roster projection. If you made it to the end of the video, we really appreciate you watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new. Obviously, we've got a bunch of stuff coming out here on the channel, and we don't want you to miss any of it. But for now, we'll see you next time here on Cowboys Digest. Peace out.